So as we look at the need for adult education programming, according to 2022 census data, 28.3 million Americans don't have a high school diploma. So that's roughly about 1 in 10 people. Now in Tennessee, it's a little bit less percentage-wise, but that's 579,000 people. If you look at Campbell County specifically, that's about 6,000, 18 and over, who don't have a diploma. 1 in 5 people in Campbell County. So with such a large need for a high school diploma, why is it that people don't have a diploma? So in adult ed, really probably the most often thing that we hear is just that life happens for one reason or another. And I'll look at some research here in a minute, but truthfully, that really is it. Just for one reason or another, life gets in the way and prevents someone from earning their diploma. And so we can go to the next slide. So Jonathan Dahl and colleagues have really argued that students are often pushed, pulled, or fall out of school. So push, that refers to maybe tests or attendance and discipline policies. Could even be just poor behavior in general, and that keeps them from finishing. Could be that they're pulled, and that just means factors inside the student. Could be financial worries. It could be out-of-school employment, family needs, family changes. Could be that they've gotten married or now have a child. And then there's lastly falling out, and that's more of a trickle instead of just some main event happening at one point. Could just be a general apathy that someone has that keeps them from finishing school. And next slide. So this next slide includes some examples from a national study, and I'm going to make sure we're on about one. Yeah, so those are just all some different reasons why someone wouldn't finish. I'm not going to go over all those, but a lot of those you can read and it makes sense, right? You may know individuals that one of those applied to them. And in adult education, we find it's a variety of those. Sometimes it's multiple factors that are happening all at the same time that prevent someone from earning a diploma. And so we've looked so far at the number of individuals lacking a diploma and just the variety of reasons and circumstances that lead them to not be able to obtain it. But to really understand the significance of these findings, we need to look at the employment prospects for those without a diploma. And we'll go to the next slide. So earning a high school diploma or equivalent, it's really important for a lot of reasons. And two that I'll mention today are that educational attainment is really correlated with wages as well as the employment rate. So this slide has data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it basically shows the wages and unemployment rate for different levels of educational attainment. I think if you hit the next slide, Debbie, it'll have it'll kind of highlight those that don't have a diploma and then those who do have a diploma. And you can see it's really kind of a drastic difference. And when you put that over the course of a whole lifetime, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars difference between just having a diploma and not having a diploma. So if you look just at median salaries, like for men, it goes from like $42,000 to over $51,000 with just that difference, diploma or no diploma. For women, about $30,000 to $40,000. So almost a $10,000 a year difference just because of the high school diploma. And so also you see it with unemployment rate. It's a drastic difference. More employment opportunities for those, the more education you have. And we can go to the next slide. So educational attainment has important implications beyond just for the individuals themselves. So this slide shows census data that looks at the poverty rate right here in the fall. And I had to go back and look at this before as I was brushing up on my presentation today, because I thought, is that really right? But yes, for the city of Follett, 2.5 times the national average is our poverty rate. That's starting, right? 31.4%. If you look among individuals over 25, nearly half of those without a diploma. So if you're looking at those who are living in poverty in Follett, almost half of those don't have a diploma. So you see the relationship between those two things, how critical the diploma is. And this data also reflects how a lower level of educational attainment reduces career opportunities and often leads to lower income. And so next, on the next slide, we'll look at some data from the Economic Policy Institute, and they've looked at what they call employment multipliers. Now, I'm not going to delve into, I've thrown a lot of numbers at y'all today, but a lot of this you all pretty well understand already. just by different walks of life, if you have a, low skill level job, there's not a whole lot of extra jobs created by that. But what their study and data is doing here is looking at, if you have like a manufacturing job, they estimate about 700 indirect jobs associated with that, from that one job. And that's because if you're a manufacturer employee, you need to go bank somewhere. You need to go to the library. You have kids that need to go to school. You have all kinds of other areas that are impacted. And for lower skill level jobs, look at the multipliers for those. It's almost, about 1-for-1 almost, where there's a much lower rate. And that's kind of, in my opinion, that's where it's a little bit concerning, where if you don't have a diploma, it hurts the whole community. Because it's going to be, with such a high percentage of individuals without a diploma, it leads to less manufacturing jobs that would be coming in. And that impacts every industry in the community. It's not just those that don't have their diploma, it's every business. All right, and so we can go to our next slide. So this is why in Tennessee, they put adult education within the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. A lot of states it's within the Department of Education, and that works well for those areas. But in Tennessee, we really focus on workforce development. And in particular, we have funding through the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. Some of you may be familiar with that. They have a lot of different programs. In the federal government, they love to use titles for everything. And so you have different titles within the program. And we are specifically Title II. And Debbie, you can hit the next slide on that. But yeah, we are Title II, but we also work with so many different partners. Individuals that are on SNAP, which is basically food stamps, that's what that's called now. They have a program called Employment and Training. And so that means if you're on food stamps and you need assistance, maybe you need gas to get to class, maybe you need some boots to go to TCAT, maybe, any number of things. We can connect that student, that participant, and help them with a lot of other needs that are preventing them from getting their diploma. And so it's really the unique design of WIOA, is what we call it, is that you have all these partners that can come together. And so if it's not a program or something that we can help with, we have this network of partners that we can refer students to. And that's really the strength of that design. And so looking more at Tennessee in general, just so you kind of have an idea about our state in particular. Debbie, if you want to hit the next slide. This looks at basically adult education programs across Tennessee. And that next slide will kind of highlight TCAT Jacksboro and TCAT Oneida Huntsville. So we actually serve 8 counties in this area. So of course Campbell County right here. And then Scott County, our neighbor next door, they also help with TCAT Oneida. They cover Morgan and Roane counties as well as Scott. We also go all the way into Hamlin County, so over around Morristown. So we cover several counties in this area through that grant. And then on our next slide, I'll talk a little bit about some of the different services that we offer. So I mentioned high school equivalency preparation earlier. That has been for a long time and continues to be our bread and butter, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a moment. But besides the HSC, we also, general math and reading, writing instruction. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're wanting to work towards your diploma. It could be that you just need, maybe you're helping your child or grandchild on some homework and you're like, ooh, it's been a long time since I've looked at that. We can help you with that. It can also be English as a second language. Computer literacy. We have a program, I was talking with Mr. Tanis earlier about Springs of Life in Jellicoe. We work with some of their residents with computer literacy. So that can be something, if you're interested in, we have a program for that. We also help with career coaching, to help with college and career planning. So once someone gets their diploma, we can connect them with Rome State, with TCAT, with our partners. So that, because even now, you saw that chart earlier where, definitely your prospects improve once you get your high school diploma, but you notice the higher up you got, the more education you attain, even better, right? More wages and lower rates of unemployment. And then another program we have are workforce development initiatives. So this could be if you maybe have employees who they don't know how to read a tape measure. We can go in on the job site and actually teach that skill. It could be if you're a manufacturer and you've got a lot of individuals who don't know how to read English. That's dangerous. When you've got safety signs written in English, we can come in on site and actually teach that skill. Teach that to your students. Okay? All right. And then lastly, we have integrated education and training. So this is where we can actually partner with the training provider. It could be a TCAT. In Morristown, we have a partnership with CVS Pharmacy where individuals looking to become pharmacy technicians, we can actually help them with ratios, proportions, and teaching those necessary skills that they need in order to pursue that career. So I'll tell you all that. That's a lot of information. But whenever you hear adult education, number one, you may not have any thought associated with it, just teaching adults. If you know a little bit about it, you probably know high school equivalency diploma. There's a lot more now than there used to be. And so just if there's an idea you have, please reach out to us. Because if we don't know it, all those WIOA partners I mentioned earlier, we probably have a partner who can help you. But before I close today, I do want to talk just a little bit on the next slide about the state's new Diploma Pathways program. So for many years in Tennessee, in order to earn a diploma, you had to pass the HiSET test. And there's 5 subjects: math, reading, writing, science, and social studies. That's still the same. The diploma, that students get in the mail is still the same. They still have the same competencies that they need to know. But what's changed is how you earn the diploma. Students can now take a variety of assessments, and all those are listed up there. ACT work keys, GED, which a lot of us, when it was still HiSET, still called it that, but now they have brought it back.